I declined my student loan forgiveness. Testing, mic on? Yes, I declined my student loan forgiveness repayment. Did you know you become what you give your attention to? You're here with me, Lisa, giving me your attention. Today, our focus is on those that are eligible for student loan repayment / forgiveness and those who are striving to become eligible for it. I'm going to go over what has changed and why I turned it down flat. The big change occurred on August 19th, 2021. The U.S. Department of Education announced that the federal student loans of more than 300,000 borrowers who have total and permanent disabilities will be automatically forgiven starting in September of last year. Well, I was one of those more than 300,000 veterans that were eligible. If you are an individual on Social Security or a veteran who is disabled, I highly recommend that you pursue to see if you can have your student loans discharged through total and permanent disability status. What do you have to lose? Try. Debt forgiveness applies to the following types of loans: federal loans, direct loans, program loans, federal family education, FFEL program loans, and federal Perkins loans. It also relieved borrowers who are eligible for teach grants and their service obligation. The new regulation began the process of forgiving more than $5.8 billion student dollar debt, a financial burden that relieved many, but they will not get their hands on mine. Not just yet. In September, I got my letter in the mail from NELNET, and NELNET stands for the National Education Loan Network, telling me that my name had been identified as a 100% total and permanent disabled veteran who qualified for the discharge for my student loans. Now, like some of you, especially veterans that have been on Facebook, you're in a group, you see so many payoff shot screens and dancing emojis and smiling faces, whether it's been from 150,000, I've seen them down to 20,000, and your eyes light up and say, that's wonderful. I felt that same way too. They made it. What made it such a celebration was before there was a process in place, and it was laborious to have your student loan forgiven. The qualified veteran, first you had to get qualified. That's a labor in itself. And then they had to turn in an application. Well, what if you was a qualified veteran, 100%, and you sat there with a student loan and you didn't even know about having your loan forgiven? So there you sat with this abundant amount of debt or making payments or going into default status. And I've talked about before how going into default status really is a barrier that sets you up for not presenting yourself or work with the federal government as financially solvent. You owe the government, but you want to work for it. You want to say, Uncle Sam, I want to work for you, but I owe you money and I'm not quite ready to pay it back. That would put you in a tough spot. Now, there's no more application process, and most disabled borrowers for student loan forgiveness, also known as debt discharge, we are now simply in a system that doesn't even require us to apply. It's documentation that's going to get forwarded from one agency to another and happen automatically. Now, I totally get why the program has changed. The process of automation payment makes it much easier for veterans and people on Social Security, and it simplifies the process for the federal government, making it cost far less and be more effective in the short and the long term. Totally get it. Now, the VA has been doing this since 2019, but starting since last September 2021, the Department of Education, as well as the Social Security Administration, will just cross-check for persons to see if they're totally and permanently disabled. And like I said, just as the VA has been doing since 2019, the borrowers identified as TPD, totally permanently disabled, will automatically have their federal student loan debt forgiven. And if you expected a letter from the Department of Education and didn't receive it, confirming that your loan forgiveness was paid off, then what I can suggest you do is simply contact NELNET, which I'll leave in the information down in the content below. Borrowers who are not identified by the VA or SSA and want to see if they qualified need to seek out student loan forgiveness still and apply, providing a physician certification of disability. But If you're a newly acquired 100% rating for a permanent total disability, or you're submitting claims and appeals toward it, this is yet another reason not to give up. Here's another quote, because we're smart. Albert Einstein said, "The more I learn, the more I realize what I don't know." We're living in an age where there is an abundant amount of opportunity for learning and development. Do you realize, and this blew my mind, that more knowledge exists in a one weekend edition of the New York Times than an average person had access to in their entire lifetime in the 1800s? Wow. Which takes me to why I did not accept the near $30,000 that I have in student loan debt. Because when I was at a 90% rating and I was on those Facebook groups of people taking screenshots of their student loan debt being repaid, a light came on. I enrolled in school. One, because I had confidence that my application towards 100% claim would be approved. I had extreme confidence, obviously. I started school, and I'm still in school now that I'm 100%. I completed my master's degree in education just a few months ago in the summer. If you have been following me, and I hope you have by just hitting that notification bell, and please, you're getting something out of this, hit like. I've been accepted to the doctoral program in education as well. We become, as I said, what we give our attention to. And as I said, thank you. You're learning from me, and I still want to learn for you. All that I had to do is when I received that nail-net paper instruction was to read it. And they gave me 30 days to let them know that I was not having it. I did not want my student loan repaid. And when they asked why, I told the representative that I'm still in school. A few weeks later, I received verification. And here it is. The proof is in the pudding. I received verification that my decline was approved. I get it. A formal education is not for everyone. But being open and curious has a profound health and welfare benefits. It reduces stress, it increases your memory, it engages you with others, and it opens up new opportunities. Now, I may never finish my PhD, but I will die trying and learning, and I won't do it with student loan debt either. And that's why I turned down my student loan forgiveness and how I'm able to go to school debt-free. It's just that easy.